Hi, I'm Chris with the Mobile Internet Resource Center, here today to give you some information and tips about the ZTE Mobley on AT&T. One of the most interesting and unique hotspots that we've taken a look at that has become kind of a phenomenon lately. Not for its tech specs, but for because of the data plan that you can get with this. So let's get the data plan out of the way first. At the moment, you can currently get a $20 a month unlimited AT&T plan on a ZTE Mobley. You don't need another AT&T plan to add it to, and this is unlimited data, just subject to AT&T's usual 22 gigabytes of network management, which most people are reporting really hardly seeing any impact from. So a lot of people out there using a lot of data on a ZTE Mobley. This plan probably exists because AT&T probably never expected people to be using the Mobley the way we are, because this is a connected car device. So this hookup here is an ODB2 port. That's the OBD, onboard diagnostic port, that is found under the dash of basically every car manufactured since 1996. Some RVs, some other things have these ports hidden away, often not necessarily accessible. This plugs into that port, and AT&T's vision was that this is only on while the vehicle is in motion and underway, giving something to keep the kids in the back seat entertained, streaming to their tablets and such. But all this gets from the OBD port is power. So if you find an alternative way to provide power to this, you can configure this to be an always-on hotspot, and suddenly you've got an always-on device on AT&T for just $20 a month. So here's one example of the many different power supplies that people have come up with to power this. So you would just snap these together and plug this into a wall. This was one that we got on Amazon. There's people on Amazon and eBay selling power supplies for the Mobley, or just OBD2 power supplies. Some will plug into wall outlets, some will plug in to USB ports for power, and some will plug into 12-volt cigarette lighter jacks. So whatever your power needs are, you can get this and keep it powered up 24/7. One little pro tip is, because this was never really intended to be an always-on device, it tends to get a little flaky after a day or two. So some people have set up the little internal clock timers to just power cycle it, just like a lamp timer, to turn it on and off once a day, just to have it reset itself. Makes it more reliable. Taking a closer look at the hardware before we dive into the software, there is a SIM slot here on top. This little hatch pries open, and there is a mini SIM slot inside here that you can put a SIM into, like that, and then slide it with a fingernail down into it like that. Now this will take the connected car SIMs, but we've actually been able to use regular AT&T mobile hotspot SIMs in this as well, and the plan will work. AT&T just treats it as a regular a mobile hotspot in that case. There's a small reset button right here on the side. If you ever get the software locked up, you could press that. And then there's a little hidden feature that some people have noticed. This is a plastic hatch that's almost blends right in on the side, and if you pry a fingernail under that, or a screwdriver, there's a hidden USB port. And this will not power the Mobley, but if you power it via the OBD port and hook a USB tethering cable up to this, some devices will support this as a direct USB tethering. So people have been successful with some Asus routers, PepWave routers, and Wi-Fi Ranger routers. There might be some configuration tricks that we'll share in both the write-up and in this video to how to get that working. So that is the ZTE Mobley. Now let's take a look at the software side. So now we are going to take a look at the AT&T Mobley's more advanced features that you can get at to via the control panel. So to get to the control panel, you go to http://AT&T Wi-Fi Manager, or you can just go straight to the IP address of 192.168.1.1 in your browser address bar. It will give you a little login page, and the default with most AT&T devices is AT AT&T admin. And there we are logged in. We can see that we are connected to AT&T LTE with a 2-bar signal, and we can see just the basic settings here right on the front page. Doesn't give you a rundown of how much data you've used or any of the more advanced statistics that a lot of other devices would, but it tells you the name of your Wi-Fi network, the password, how many devices are currently connected to it, and then whether or not you have a guest network created and turned on. And then you can do all that right here from the front page. So you can turn on a guest network, you can change the password for your main network and the name of it, and then now the Mobley only supports 5 connected devices at a time, and you have to divide those up between your main and guest network. So you can have 3 on the main and 2 on the guest if you wish. Other things, important to keep the defaults set here is enable domestic data and disable international roaming. Now, as we dig a little bit deeper into the Mobley control panel, there's a few other things to see. For one, we've got the list of devices that are connected right here, and if there's something you don't like connected, you can block it and ban it from connecting to the Mobley. You have text messages, and this is where AT&T can send you messages and alerts, such as if you've exceeded the 22 gigabytes mobile hotspot, the 22 gigabytes data management threshold, network management threshold, and in this case we have for this month, we have for last month. It's not a really big deal so far. Most people are not reporting seeing much of a speed impact from having crossed over that threshold, but this way you'll know when you get there. Under settings, there's very few settings that the Mobley will let you define. Here's under Wi-Fi, you can set the network name and password and whether it's open or shut for both for the private and public networks. The guest network you cannot make completely open. You do have to have a password to it. It's just separated from the rest of your other devices, so you don't have to give away your main password. Under advanced settings, again, not too much to play with. You can change from 802.11 BGN mode to 802.11n mode. The BGN is the default. Going to N drops support for a few older devices that are more than 3 or 4 years old that don't have 802.11n support. It will make the network slightly more efficient to drop their ability to connect. And other than that, just leave your channel selector on automatic, and these are things you really can't adjust. Under network, again, domestic data on, roaming off. Here is the place that you can actually see the raw signal strength. So you'll see we've got a negative 102 dBm signal. We cannot tell what LTE band we're connected to or anything like that here. There are some very, very basic firewall features here. The one that's probably most interesting is being able to turn on a DMZ. That will let one machine, you give the IP address, one device on the inside on your private network to be contactable from the outside. Potentially useful for hosting a game server or something like that, but most people never need to use that. Under the advanced settings, this is where you can change and get rid of that default password AT&T admin. If for some reason you need to change the IP address range that the Mobley is using from the default of the 192.168.1.x, you can change the IP address range here of what it's assigning out to computers, and you can turn on the universal plug and play here, and that will let some networking protocols be better able to answer connections from outside. So video chat services or back to your computer type things might have an easier time connecting through the Mobley if the universal plug and play is turned on. And then again, leave the default for VPN pass-through enabled if you're going to do any VPN settings. Now, the most exciting setting on the Mobley is here under Power Save, Advanced Power Save, and this is where you want to change the default from 30 minutes to no time out. This means the Mobley will stay awake 24/7, ready for you to connect to it, as opposed to its original intention of just turning off shortly after the car is powered off if it's plugged in that way. The initial the Mobleys as shipped do not have this as an option. You have to leave them plugged in. Sometimes people are reporting an hour or two, some people are reporting a day or two, until they automatically will download a firmware update. And then once that firmware update has run, you will see no timeout as an option here on some web browsers. So Chrome at the moment is working. Some other browsers aren't displaying this. They just have an HTML glitch. They're not displaying that properly. So try different web browsers if you're not seeing the choice. And that is the settings here on the Mobley. Under the About, you can see the firmware version. So if it's 1.0.1, you've gotten the updated version that should have the no timeout feature. Now, one other quick little Mobley bonus feature to talk about is, even though it shows I've got two devices connected via Wi-Fi, I am actually tethering a PepWave Surf Soho router to the Mobley at this moment as well via that hidden secret USB port on the side. So I've got the PepWave plugged in and tethered to the Mobley, but you have to do a setting on the PepWave to make this work. So let me show you what that is. And other devices that you want to tether, you'll have to do the same thing. Is find where the tethering connection sets what its DNS is, and turn off obtain DNS servers automatically. When you're tethering via USB to the Mobley, the DNS server being given over the USB port does not work. So then you have to then enter a manual DNS server. In this case, we're using Google's free public DNS, so 8.8.8.8 and 8.8.4.4. Most devices that will tether to a Mobley, like the Wi-Fi Rangers as well, you can do the same thing, change the DNS server, and it will go from connected but not able to surf to connected and surfing just fine. So there are some Mobley tips and tricks. Hope you enjoy. This is the best deal in cellular right now until AT&T shuts it down. Take care.